the side phone thingy as usual, so we're going to have to alternate this way. So it's the Sky Priestess. Hello, hello. And of course, this is my brother Mahawin.
Hello.
And as promised, we are doing a Hello Neighbor Showing special. And I've written my explanation as to why we're doing this at this time and what we hope to achieve by this. And, I think people have seen you with the mask. Maybe you just want to switch to your glasses if you want to be part of the convo.
Somehow I think that's actually more scary, but you know what? I might do that in somewhere in
All
between.
right, so we are just going to wait for people to pop on to say hi. And of course, Josh has, if Josh really wants to be on the show, he can, but he has to wear his Halloween outfit. So, okay, I see Dusana. Hi, Dusana. Hi, Dusana. Hello, Super Ham Hams. Nice to see you. Nice to see you both. And here's my bro. And of course, they say hi to Josh, which is very important.
Yes.
Yes. So if you want to, you can grab your glasses and see if we can get Josh in one of his hats. I see Candy. I see Monica. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. I am going to take the tassels off because it's starting to annoy me a bit. So, well, hello. It's good to see all of you. And thank you. Thank you. Sewing has always been a big part of our own, personal celebration. It's always been something that's appealed to the both of us ever since we were kids. We just didn't know why, but as we got older, we did. And you just want to, yeah.
I mean, I'll add it to it once I put my glasses on. You go for it.
So, I mean, I figured we could start with just a little bit of context and background. Like, what is this about? Why is this not Halloween? Why is this appropriate for what we're doing right now? And so on and so forth. And I do apologize for the delay. We had a little bit of a health issue come up, and so had to deal with that first. So not my best work, but okay with the time I had. Um, I
I
see
think
kid.
it's I
Go
think
ahead.
it's pretty useful if you actually had watched the sibling special prior to this, where we talked about what Halloween meant energetically and what Christmas meant energetically, and our overall conclusions on that, which is why when we celebrate, we have a particular meaning beyond the candy and trick or treating.
I mean, that's fun, but this year, toning down a bit of the jolly side of it. And of course, we have one little fellow. Any little fellow makes noise, they're wearing their costume and saying hi. So I'm leaving you in charge of that. So, getting to it. Getting to it. Well, sewing is effectively, it is a spiritual observation by the Celts, got adopted by the pagans, and that made its way into Christianity, and that made its way into capitalism and more secular understandings, which we see as Halloween. But the roots of it were to effectively recognize that this was a time where the veils were thin. This was a time where we were seeing the ending of the agricultural year, and effectively it was a change from light to dark. And of course, for us, we're in the northern hemisphere, so for us, it's Sowin. And for those of you in the southern hemisphere, you would be celebrating, if I'm not mistaken, Beltane. But in some sense, you can still work with the energy of what is present right now, because irrespective of where you are on this planet, if you're using the Western tropical astrological system, yes, the sun is still in the sign of Scorpio. So you're going to be feeling this no matter what. Having said that, we've got a few things lined up for today. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about Sowin, and let us see if we can get Mr. Josh first. You got one of his costumes?
I do not.
I think you might want to wear your glasses. Unless
Okay.
you just want to say hi. Josh, say hi to the fans. Don't worry, he likes wrestling and he likes being rolled about like a football. Trust me, there's no child abuse going on with that little guy.
It's happening.
He's happy. So basically, these are times where things are liminal. And in liminal states, that is where we see a certain uncertainty enter in life. Whether it's uncertainty about when is the next harvest going to come, are we going to survive the winter, or if it's an uncertainty of what on earth is going to come through the other side of whatever dimensional veil exists. So all of that stuff is is a concern. So there are various aspects to sewing. Dressing up, in fact, has its own meaning. The bonfires are another meaning. Bobbing for apples, divination rituals, they all had a specific reason for being practiced at this time of year. Because the belief is that this is a time of year where the veils are thin. And so practices of divination and so on would be far more effective. But at the same time, because the veils are thin, people also have the belief that a lot of other things are going to be walking around. Some of whom is going to be your ancestors, and hopefully they're nice people, and some of whom is going to be, nasties that go bump in. But as soon as you spoke, the internet dropped. Okay, start now.
The Celts believe that the fairies will come. And recently, we just watched a podcast which suggested trick or treating, the habit of dressing up for this time, was to dress up as animals or mythological figures so that the fae would not abduct you. And that's a bit more of the gruesome side of it, which then later became trick or treating for kids.
Yeah. But effectively, it was to make you look like a ghost so the ghost wouldn't think that you could be kidnapped. So there was a practical reason for all of this. Now, things like bobbing for apples, were initiated because of their divinatory function. And the person who got the apple, if I think if they peeled off part of its skin, you would see the initials of the person you'd marry that night, and that kind of thing. So a lot of fun things are also associated with this time of year, just because the veils are thin. It's not all gore, it's not all gruesomeness, but there was an aspect of that the Celts and the pagans recognized, which brings me to more of the serious aspects of today. So effectively, one of the best things that you can do for sewing, and since some of you have just gotten on, I shall wear my jaunty hat again whilst explaining this. One of the best things that you can do for sewing is effectively any kind of ritual or any kind of work that deals with purification. Whether it's purification of your body, whether it's purification of your home, whether it's purification of your energetic field, this is the time to be doing it. Nah, do something about this guy, please. He's wearing his glasses. So you will see Mr. Josh in his special suit in a sec. But effectively, the purificatory rituals surrounding Sowin again had their own purpose. So if you are feeling called to do something like a salt bath or to smudge your home or sage your home, whatever practices you use, there is a reason for all of this, and you should really follow your instincts because spiritual traffic is very, very high. And that makes perfect sense for the time of year as well. But one of the other things that we see with Samhain is even though it very much focuses upon the dark, the gruesome, it equally focuses upon light. And focusing upon the light is effectively one of the biggest, though they don't say it as such, one of the biggest defenses that a person can find when dealing with the darkness, which is why they had the orange bonfires that were lit against the night sky, the black night sky, and that's where the whole orange and black combination came from. Which is also why we see things like gatherings, like assemblies, like families coming together, where people would celebrate the season. So it wasn't about fear. It wasn't about cowering into the unknown. It was about recognizing that it is a natural and normal part of life, but also that we needed to find a space of joy and find a space of engagement to meet these energies however they occur. And I think Josh, call hostage
As always.
as always.
Okay.
Halloween boy. He just wants to say hi to the fans. Yeah. Anyway, so effectively, getting back to it, this is the time where rituals of joy, or even practices that bring more joy, that bring more creativity to your life, to what you are doing, to how you see yourself, how you connect with your family, how you connect with your community, are as important as things like divination, things like clearing, things like purifying, because it takes both. It takes both approaches to deal with the shadow, to deal with fear, to deal with grief, to deal with death. And of course, if you look at what is going on in the world right now, do you have something to say, man?
Auntie Mom is scary.
Yeah, he might not like my makeup. So, You know what? Give me a second. Let me see if it just
Okay. Now let's see if
okay.
I can get both of. All right.
All
Yeah.
right. So I appreciate your understanding. Come on, guy. We got stuff to talk about. No? Okay.
Shall I just put on a few inside?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
So, he's a bit agitated by this time of year. But effectively, what needs to be done is that balance, is finding that balance between happiness and between what it is that we actually fear. So, this is what I wanted to talk with you about today. Now, I was actually planning this for a while, and the reason why we're even doing this is because one of you neighbors sent me a very lovely care package with some Halloween things for the little fellows and some stuff for me because they know I'm a big fan of Nightmare Before Christmas. So I thought, you know what, since life has been quite hard the past few years, I decided that it's probably a good idea that I started celebrating the things that I like to celebrate. And for some context, I've always been the kind of person who enjoyed Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas, Sleepy Hollow, basically the Depp Burton collaborations. Those are always a big deal for me. And so for me, Halloween was a very natural thing. And I didn't know why, but I just knew there was something deeper about it. And even before I got introduced to something, to Dia de los Muertos, I always dressed as a skull. And if you actually look at my name, it's also the name Bhairavi effectively means the goddess of death and destruction. So it's very much associated with skulls as well. So there's probably a tie in there as well, which is why this time of year has always felt very, very natural for me. And for me, seeing it as something to celebrate has always been natural and normal. But seeing it as something to fear is what I didn't quite understand. So when I eventually went over to the United States, I saw that this particular time of year was more associated with having that thrill, whether it's going to watch a scary movie or going some kind of maze in a haystack or whatever it is that people do. And it didn't quite click. But of course, they're still honoring the original roots of the festival. But it didn't quite click to me because for me, I always saw it as something that was as normal as life itself. But why am I talking about this? Why am I doing all of this now? Well, I could have just, kept all of this to myself and done a private celebration at home. But looking at what's going on in the world right now, I figured this is more than any other time. This is really when we need to look at sewing. So, we can talk about how sewing links to current events, or if there are any questions or comments that people would like to leave at this time, because this is a Hello Neighbor, please feel free to do so. And if not, we can just get to the bridge to what is happening in the skies and, in the world right now. And if there are no questions, I'll just keep talking. So, now, effectively, what we're seeing right now in terms of the massive deaths and in terms of just various multiple genocides happening on the planet, we're seeing people waking up to the reality that their understanding of truth is not what they thought it was, that their beliefs in government were not particularly valid, their beliefs in who they are were not particularly founded on some truth. So people are actually going through a big existential crisis at this time just because they are finding out things that challenge everything they thought they knew about who they were. So there is a death that is happening here, and not just with those poor individuals who are fighting for their lives. There is also a profound psychological and spiritual death that is happening at the same time. And this is why sewing is so powerful, because this is a time for us to really be looking at what parts of us do we need to let go of. What parts of us need that purification? What divination methods do we need to use to connect to the depths of ourselves? How do we find what we seek in others within those depths? How do we turn on the light to face those parts of ourselves that we innately fear? And that's what's happening. That's probably the most important thing that's happening right now. And alongside the very visceral and real and political experiences and just scenes of absolute inhumanity that are flooding our screens right now. But not to, when I say accept, I do not mean condone, but I mean to accept the reality of the situation there. But to accept the reality of that situation, you must first look at your relationship with death and what that triggers in you. And whether it's dressing up or whether it's, jumping in a salt bath filled with crystals, whatever it is you want to do at this time, do it. Do what connects you with that much deeper, heavier, so called darker frequency. And remember, darkness is not evil. All of you came out of a womb, one way or another, and there are no headlights in the womb. Some spaces are sacred because they are dark. So, this is effectively the lessons that this time of year give us. And so do what it takes. Do what it takes for you to probe those spaces, especially as you are facing very challenging, very difficult, very, very sad events in the wider world. Now, I'm not saying dressing up and, doing smudging of your house is going to fix everything, but it is certainly something that helps you process at the physical, individual level. I do see Mishi has logged on. Hello, Mishi. Nice to see you.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Earlier, when we talked about Halloween, we talked about it how it is the beginning of the dark season, and Christmas was the end of it, the celebration of it. So I always think of things in terms of conflict, unfortunately. It's a bad habit of mine. But think of Halloween as the fight is starting, you get yourself in shape. You give yourself what is needed to overcome the darkness, and for most of us, it is joy. There are some people who can actually just focus on the bitterness, the pain, the suffering, and push through. But it takes a lot out of you. It is not something that is easily replicatable year after year after year. For most of us, we need to renew ourselves. We need community, we need family, we need good food, we need games, we need bobbing for apples games, and the whole variety, the whole community celebrating and having a moment of frivolity. Even though it seems frivolous, that is what will strengthen your fire element according to the Chinese TCM. Joy. Bring joy to yourself. And once you've actually gotten through those hard, dark times, you celebrate with Christmas. You have succeeded. Okay, it's good now. Hey, you, quiet, quiet. Hiya.
Josh gets triggered a lot. But thank you for understanding. He is a baby. But
Idiot. Yeah, but I will continue. I just have a little bit more. So this is when the season turns, and there is magic in time. That's why we look at the stars. Different times have different magic. This is the time we take that darkness and we transmute it the way my sister is saying. And it can be hard. It can be so weird trying to celebrate when you're also conscious of all the darkness around you. But that's when you try, that's when you do your best, and you nourish yourself enough that you get through the harder times which are coming, because we all know they're coming.
Veronica says it is his joy coming out.
He's a grumbly, grumbly joy then. Okay.
I'm gonna accept that for this purposes. But oh my god, he is a very expressive guy. Michi, I don't think you saw my hat. I'm quite proud of this hat. I got this hat for this, so check out my hat. But yes, so but effectively, I think that covers in terms of theory what we wanted to talk about. But did you want to add anything about the general context, or should we move to the candle?
Um, I don't know. Do we want to talk about the current terrible things that are happening and how we can try and best transmute it personally?
That's what I meant by the candle thing.
Okay, so that's the
Yeah,
candle thing. Go for the candle thing.
yes. So, moving to current events. Unless there are any comments or questions, and if any of you have any single female cats who want to date Josh, please let me know. Man problems. Man problems. So, Chiron says, I'm here baking pumpkin bread in my skeleton PJs. This is why we're
Nice.
friends, Chiron. This is why we're friends.
That's
And
pretty
Black
sweet.
says, "Hi, fam. I love it, Dr. B. That hat is everything." It is a really good hat. I might just wear it for the next couple of days. It's a great hat. I love it. It was super cheap. I think I got it for something like $3. I, in fact, went and made homemade face paint and, did the whole shebang. But getting to why, getting to the work that needs to be done. As I said, personal grieving and finding personal joy, it's a very unique thing for each person. What we like to do is we like to watch, again, Nightmare Before Christmas. We like to watch Quackbusters. We like to watch a whole bunch of Garfield's Halloween Adventure. Those are the things that we enjoyed as kids, and we watched that as part of filling that joy bucket. But that works at a personal level. So, what do you do when you need to bring that light to a much larger situation? So, for example, what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Tigray, what's happening in Armenia, what's happening in the Congo, what's happening in Sudan. There are multiple global crises that are happening at the same time. Multiple. Um, I see a very interesting question. Oh, KFRC says, "Are you a cake? Your skin looks like bread. I am a skull cake." Now I shall continue. So, effectively, we're seeing multiple global crises at the same time. And how do you bring joy to those situations? How do you bring light to those situations? So that's what I wanted to do with this part of the video. I see Dog has said, "Hello, hello, Dog." And N Black says, "I watched Carolyn today and it brought me joy." Carolyn freaked me out, but I respect. I respect some.
Coraline?
Yeah, I think she means Coraline. Yes, Coraline freaked me out. I
That's because we lived that.
That's true. So, but that's a good one as well. So let's, yes, she says yes. So let's get the candle and let's do the lighting because I know that's what a lot of people are here for today, which is good. Can you get the big beeswax one out? So I use beeswax candles. Josh says eggplant.
Eggplant candle? Or is it an eggplant emoji?
Apparently, I look like an eggplant.
The man knows some really freaky eggplants.
I feel bad for your supermarket, but no, no, there's a big roundish one there. Monica says Coraline freaked me out too, but it was a good movie. It was a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
But here we go. So if all of you have your candles, beeswax is particularly good for this kind of purpose. Now, of course, you can use candles with different colors, each have different intentions, each have different magical properties. Some people even make their own candles and with special herbs, but I basically just went with beeswax. So, what we can do in situations like this, where bringing that joy to a collective scale is is the challenge of the time, we use candles, eggplant candles. Boy, you need to get laid if that's the only thing you can think about. But anyway, so if you've got your candles ready, so this is what you can do. You can take an additional step, and obviously make sure you have the right uh, make sure you have the right base for it. You can, put it in some ash, in some salt, whatever you use. If you have a separate candle holder, that's also fine. But just make sure that you don't leave it unattended because fires can start out and you don't really want that kind of bonfire for sewing. So what you can also do is you can anoint the candle if you want to. You can either use blessed oil or you can use essential oils if you want to. It's not necessary because really intention is what matters the most. So as I have mentioned before in previous videos, in situations and circumstances like this, one of the best beings that you can connect with are the archangels Chamuel, Also Michael and Raphael, because they are just the go-tos for just about everything. But Archangel Chamuel in particular is the person to be addressing at this time. The reason for this is because, for those of you who adhere to the Christian faith, Chamuel is effectively the angel that deals with matters of justice, also matters of love, and matters of harmony. And it is an energy that actually allows us to find that space of peace and that pathway towards peace in a way that is truly inclusive. So if you know the Bible, you also know that this was the angel that appeared to Christ before he actually got crucified. So this is the one to appeal to at this time, if you work with that tradition. And if you work with other traditions, that's also fine. Just work with the being that you feel can bring about the greatest protection, the greatest peace. It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what you should be doing. These are just suggestions. So, having said that, I just want you to hold the candle, and we're just going to do a very quick, very, very brief meditation. And I don't want you to overcomplicate it. You can think about that particular being, or you can just think about spirit in general. And I just want you to set a heartfelt intention that you are asking for peace, for clarity, for compassion, and for pathways of change in all areas that are in need of spiritual, political, psychic, and physical help at this time. And if that's too complicated, just say that you are lighting a candle with a heartfelt prayer for peace for all on this earth. So I just want you to take a minute, and I just want you to feel into that from your heart. And I just want you to allow that to feel like the most natural thing in the world. If you feel like you're forcing it, don't. Take a step back and just let your very natural space of inner joy, inner love, inner hope, inner faith, inner belief just fill the energy of the candle as you set the intention. And you don't need to be doing any weird transfers of energy, just intention is fine. And once you feel ready, once you feel that your candle is filled with the intention that you want to set with it, a noble intention for peace of all is fantastic at this time. Then you set it where you're going to set it, and then you light it effectively. Um, where's our lighter?
There should be one here.
I think I just put it on the table. So I'm just going to show you our lit candle. Once you find the lighter, I'm pretty sure I put it on this table, but okay. But in the meantime, whilst we're getting the lighter, and of course we have one little fellow sticking her face into corn flour. Anyway, so let's light this up, and I'll show it to you once it's lit. And this is just part of the costume. I'll show you the full costume in a sec, Don. Can you hold the candle on the side so I can light it properly? There we go. It's a two-person job. Okay. There we are. So, and here is my lit candle. And my brother's lighting another candle as well. He's setting intention. Just remember, keep it simple. If you don't know the right words, that's fine. Just feel into it. And that's one way all of us can actually just add a little bit of light, a little bit of joy, a little bit of hope for everyone. So I'm going to let that sit, and I'll show you my brother's candle once he's lit that. Yes, this is the fuller part of the costume with the hat. But it kind of got in the way whilst I was talking, which is why I didn't have it on much. Um, you got your candle ready? Yeah?
There we go.
There you go. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Want to say anything else?
Just remember to set the intention first before lighting it. Doesn't need to take very long.
So I would say that is a wrap. So enjoy October 31st, however you choose to celebrate it, whether it's Samhain, Halloween, All Hallows Eve, whether it's just a day, or whatever it is you feel like doing. And keep your candles lit and see how you get on. Having said that, before we log off, is there anything else that anyone else would like to comment? Michi has a candle lit, well done. You can also feel free to send me or tag me in photos of your candles on Instagram if you want.
That's actually pretty awesome. Putting your candles on social media, and if you feel comfortable with that, sharing the intention,
Yeah.
because that does magnify in a three-dimensional way the intention you're putting out.
Yes, yes. And that's about it. So, neighbors, thank you so much for sharing the space with all of us. And I hope that in our own little ways, we each walk towards a better, more aligned existence. So, take care. Very many blessings. Oh, Dame Luz says, Feliz Dia de los Muertos from the Bronx. Dia de los Muertos to you too.
Thank you for sharing a part of your Halloween with us.
Thank you so much. And as Gwendolyn says, may peace reign on earth. Lots of love to you. Bye bye.